Welcome to our review of the Miami Grand Prix here on the Sahwgunn channel. I am Ajax and I'm joined by Sahwgunn.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. And we're gonna step into the Miami Grand Prix, which is an exciting weekend, shall we say? Not entirely sure of the. Well, you know what, the race was exciting as well. We had a lot of battles for lead. We had some controversy in there. You know, everything that makes F1 good. But when we get to talk about the sprint, that was my favourite part of the weekend. But yeah, it was an exciting weekend, wasn't it?
Yep, it was. As a whole package, it was definitely above expectations for most people, I would say. Especially the sprint. That was like pure cinema. that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I would say the race was the weakest out of the 4 competitive sessions that we had. Although it was not bad in itself. So yeah, pretty happy with the weekend.
Yes, same. It was it was a lot of fun. Shall we go straight to sprint quali rather than focusing on practice one? Which again, just a big shock, to be honest, was sprint quali.
Yes.
I don't think anyone, not even me, expected what happened.
Yeah, just out of nowhere, completely out of nowhere, he seemed to have the edge over his teammate throughout the whole weekend. But that sprint qualifying, I mean, if it would count for
talking about Antonelli,
obviously, if it would count for the statistics, it would be even like more special. But unfortunately, it's called a record for the youngest pole sitter in any competitive session or something like that. It's not like a pole sitter overall because it's still tied to the regular pole position for the main Grand Prix, which is currently held by Sebastian Vettel. So I mean, it's still a record, just not quite the big one. But other than that, this was an amazing performance for Antonelli throughout the entire weekend. He was, I would say, the better driver this weekend out of the Mercedes duo. Very unlucky at times as well. But yeah, that also comes with being a Formula 1 driver, that you have some fortunate moments and some more on the unlucky side. So sprint qualifying, phenomenal from Antonelli. He also put over 0.3 of a second on Russell, I think. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, he was superb. I was really impressed by just sort of how he took everything as well, because you know it's a big deal, and then what happened in the race and so on, you know, beyond his fault. So the fact that he just sort of still just took everything in his stride, still didn't really. You know, he was just a quick boy this weekend, really impressive to see, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Just look at the calendar. It's supposedly Oliver Behrman's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Ollie Behrman.
Happy birthday to him. I suppose that's either 19th or 20th birthday. I'm not really sure. I know he's very young, I would say, but not exactly know the exact age. I was
going to say, you know, is what was I going to say?
Sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. What was? It was fairly punchy. Not just of him, but of the Mercedes team. You know, I saw. We saw. Why can't I remember the head of Mercedes' name all of a sudden?
Toto Wolff.
Toto Wolff come out afterwards and be like, you know, he's going to win races, and you know, this is just the beginning. You'll know what he's doing when it comes to the European circuits, and that was a exciting moment, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely a bright future ahead of him if he keeps improving as quickly as he does. I mean, obviously this is the first weekend that we can say that he's been better than his teammate, who's himself one of the best drivers on the grid right now, and Antonio is a rookie, a very, very young rookie, already impressing a lot of people, including us. We're going to be talking about him a lot in the next few years, maybe even more. We'll see. Sprint qualifying, apart from that, I mean, it was fairly regular in terms of like a session. It was okay. Let's say we had that living threat of a rain, but it came for the sprint, for the sprint race. It did, and it was. I was at times like skeptical about the rain because I didn't know if it would improve or worsen the excitement, because maybe recently just recency bias, but whenever we had rain affected races, it mostly just killed the racing itself, and not that it helped.
Yeah.
But this sprint race, not that it delivered much racing, but it delivered all the other things, like all the drama, the strategy, the pit stops, the crashes, everything pretty much. Even a bit of racing here and there, but yeah, the sprint was the highlight of this weekend. Sprint pole.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry,
I really. Sorry to step on it.
I just wanted to mention that we don't get points for a sprint pole, as you get the wrong Mercedes, and my driver was very close, but not quite.
I can't believe it. I'm devastated. Yeah, I think the sprint race was just phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
I haven't had like a sprint race that has been that fun. I can't remember a sprint race that's been that fun full stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we got one in this race, the fact it was, so chaotic, and you had how the fact the track's dry. It reminded me very much of Eddie when he was Eddie Eccleston, not Eddie. I was thinking of Eddie Jordan. Bernie Eccleston, when he was head of F1, he was like, we need to have a soak the race in soak the tracks in rain before the start of the races. Like, have sprinklers at each track and soak them with rain. And everyone sort of thought it was a stupid, dumb joke. But after this race, I'm kind of like, maybe he was onto something there, because this was something.
Yeah, it was even from the start. Already got little. Not more, not that on the exciting part, but usually we had a few laps behind the safety car first before the standing start, and we also had a few laps behind the safety car at the end after the crash. I think it was Alonso from Lawson.
Yes,
they touched in the sector 2, basically. Very unfortunate incident, but more on the Lawson fault, I would say. Just not great, but it helped a certain driver to secure the sprint win out of nowhere. Lando Norris helped by the safety car in Miami. Seems familiar.
it was out of nowhere. Like he was not meant to win this race, and you had Hamilton as well coming from nowhere to suddenly getting points. It was an interesting one, to be honest. The fact that both the drivers had managed to, go from quite poor races and struggling to winning. Well, not winning, but only Lando won. But at least having a good race overall. I was not expecting Hamilton to get the points he did.
Yep, a lot of drivers having profited from all the chaos, some not quite. It was honestly the thing that it dried up towards the end. Drivers had to stop for dry tires, like the final third of the sprint, causing all the chaos in the pit stops. The big moment with Antonelli and Max being essentially left into Antonelli. It was such a weird incident because you normally see the pit crew screw up like this. Like the person who let Verstappen out pretty much just screwed up his entire sprint, and in the long run, it could cost him a lot because that's like 7 and 8 points to the McLaren drivers respectively, and it's
as someone pointed out that it's the first time Max hasn't like in a race finish hasn't got points.
Yeah. Since 2016.
Of course, he's had a few where he'll not get points, but it'll be because he crashed or his car failed or something. But this has led to him actually just fully not getting points, which is a bit of a shock. We haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah, and through no fault of his own, unfortunately, for Max, it was his pit crew that ruined not only his sprint but also Antonelli's, who was looking very good throughout the sprint. Obviously lost the lead at the start and got a couple places back as well. I think that's more on the side of inexperience at that point. Like Piastri is full on locked in, is fighting for a championship. He knows what to do in turn one, and Antonelli.
We saw a lot of that this weekend. We will get to that.
Yeah,
we saw a lot of him knowing what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like Antonelli was the victim of that, but still held up on his own. Got his head up and delivered.
He didn't actually end up getting points because of the whole the penalties at the end.
Yeah, thanks to the penalties for multiple drivers. But Antonelli throughout through the like pit stop section of the race, like where I was pitting, Antonelli could have ended up even winning that race, maybe or sprint race, if it was for Red Bull pit stop not being great and maybe some other circumstances. But he was definitely looking for his first podium, albeit it was only just a sprint podium, but still like a top 3 result in his like 6th race in F1, 7th if you count the sprint. It's impressive. Actually, happily had the pace and deserved more for the sprint that he got, and so future is bright.
Definitely. And I think it was definitely like, oh, okay, we're back. We're F1's. It gave a lot to the weekend, that sprint race, I think, which I wouldn't say many sprint races have done before. We've been fairly critical on here about sprint races, about what they actually bring, and I can say I was happy at this one. It was a good sprint race.
Yeah, it was. And we mentioned Norris winning thanks to the safety car. He it didn't look that confident in this entire weekend. I thought he would be much more settled and locked in. Just didn't happen. It was quick, but just everything else wasn't there that he needed to have in order to fight it for the championship. Essentially, he's now, like, after his weekend, like, I believe 16 points behind Piastri, which is a lot. That this early to the season, so yeah, could hurt him at certain points this season. Norris win in the sprint gives us a point for each of us. Thank you, Lando, or I should say thank you, safety car, but we get a point either way, so it's at least something for us. yeah, that's the sprint part of the Grand Prix of the weekend. We should move on to this biggest surprise, right?
Yes, yes.
Obviously, we'll mention some things that we haven't as we go on. All right. Biggest surprise: Antonelli beating Russell in the race. Unfortunately, didn't in the Grand Prix. Yeah, safety car gives, safety car takes. It's just how it goes. And Russell was screwed up in the past by his F1 fortunes, but now he didn't have the pace this weekend that much. He wasn't comfortable in the car. He was beaten by Antonelli in both qualifyings, and he still delivered a podium somehow.
Yeah. He certainly didn't look the quickest this weekend, but I think when it comes down to it, Russell is just a really, really solid driver, and he ended up giving it his all, and actually bringing home some things for the team. So I think that you got to give him props for that.
Yep. Anthony on the other hand, just unfortunate in that case. He pitted before safety car, so there wasn't much to do. He also got then jumped by Albon, so he ended up finishing in P6. Just still all right. That's where we would expect Antonelli to finish, starting from P3. Kind of unfortunate. But yeah, didn't beat Russell in the race. Sub 2 second pit stop, that didn't happen. I'm pretty sure. I kept an eye on the pit stop times. Didn't happen this race, so no points there. Overperformer. Definitely you get a point. There's no debate here. Antonelli very, very impressive, and Lando not so much. Yeah, he won the sprint, so thanks to luck, but he wasn't beating his teammate. That was the minimum.
I'd also like to mention Albon. Albon had a really good weekend as well. Did phenomenally in both races, so definitely deserves a mention.
Yep. Alex had a very good weekend as well, for sure. Yeah, it's I don't see any drivers having phenomenal weekends apart from those two. Yeah, we could talk about Stroll in the points in sprint, but that was mostly due to all the chaos. That probably wouldn't matter because anyway. But those two definitely the overperformers of this weekend. And when it comes to underperformer, Lewis Hamilton, no, he was all right. Wasn't the greatest, but it was much better than we both expected. I think coming into Miami, he was on pace with Leclerc in the sprint. Didn't crash in the formula on the way to the grid or whatever was it. Leclerc crashed in, so that already brought his chances to be Leclerc 200%, but he also managed to get a podium in the sprint, so that's even better. Already with a sprint, I don't think he deserves an underperformer. And the main race itself, Ferrari had no pace. They were outpaced by Williams, which is a statement. Not much to do there at that point. Obviously, he tried to get to Antonelli, but the tires were already dead before they let him through Leclerc.
That was very. That was something, wasn't it?
Yeah, the entire saga with Hamilton and Leclerc in the race and with the team radios with Ferrari. I mean, that's pure Ferrari experience for all the Hamilton fans who are making fun of Ferrari fans until this year. Yeah, it's kind of a welcome to Ferrari moment, and I've seen a lot of Hamilton fans being very, very upset with this team, and rightfully so. I mean, that was very poorly managed from both sides of garages. I mean, when Lewis was quicker, they just held that position for 5 laps, let them through, and then Leclerc got caught up back. Then still they just lost even more time before letting Charles get back through.
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
in the end managed absolutely nothing other than embarrassing themselves. Just classic Ferrari.
Yeah, it was not. It was a really, really sort of weak moment for them in what has been a season of weak moments thus far for them. So yeah, not a good look. Not a good look at all. Hopefully, you'd hope that maybe they can figure out over the course of the season. But yeah, thus far, not so good at Ferrari. It is certainly looking like it's going to be a roller coaster, not just for them, but for their two drivers.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, it looked all right in the last two races. Like in Bahrain, they seem to have some pace.
Yeah, I mean,
they're quicker than Red Bull at least. And in Saudi, they managed to get a podium, but here in Miami, it was the race last season. Yeah, last season they were very quick. They were on pace with McLaren and Red Bull at that point. Here, 1 year later, yeah, they're nowhere. They were the convincingly fifth quickest team this weekend. Just, yeah. It hurts, but I'm already kind of used to it. So, yeah, I've given up on this season when it comes to Ferrari already. So, yeah, I've accepted that my predictions are going to look very, very, very good because
I don't think you particularly put too much risk in your predictions.
Yeah, I've pretty much predicted Ferrari to be awful, and they are. Well, then I'm like unhappy with my predictions, but we'd rather see them do well than not.
Yes, of course.
Okay, underperformer, a driver that you would give this to.
It's a difficult one, really. I mean, shout to Leclerc, I'd say.
Kind of. I mean, yeah.
We've talked before. We've made fun of like Stroll before for not making the grid. If we're being like, strict, then I would say I would give him a shout if I'm honest. It's one of his worst results of the season.
You definitely got a point. Definitely a shout. Checking for the.
I remember
the drivers. There's no particular driver, like maybe Lawson, but also like not like you would expect him to do much anyway. I think he out-qualified Jar, or maybe I'm wrong. No, he didn't.
Alonso's a shout as much as he did. It's not everything was his fault.
I mean, the Aston's finished like dead last with. I think
that's sort of onto project team maybe more than.
Yeah, it was still Alonso was the quicker driver this weekend. Just that Stroll didn't crash in a sprint race, causing. Alonso's crash helped Stroll to get points, but also Stroll didn't crash, so he was there to pick up the pieces and get the points. And he has 15 points on the season, around that number, compared to Alonso's 0. I mean, that's gonna be hard to come by, to overcome, because the Aston looking like one of the worst cars on the grid, if not the worst in certain circumstances. They only have the luxury of Sauber existing, so they'll have to worry about being the dead last. But it's not a great look for the team that's aspiring for a championship next season. I would say
it's not.
They should have focused on this year more and actually put some effort into it, because you're not just gonna transfer from a back marker to a championship winning team in over one season. That team is not ready for that. The staff, they're just not used to such a big jumps, and all like we saw in 2023, I think it was, when they just randomly got a great car. Alonso jumped in, was getting podiums, and they just didn't manage to keep up with the development as well. Yeah, they have Newey now, but not that that's gonna make somehow make that car like 2 seconds quicker than everyone else. I don't believe that's gonna happen. Maybe they're gonna be competitive next season a little bit, but I don't expect them to win the championship or be anywhere near to it. And this season could be one of the reasons why, because they're just they're not serious right now. They don't seem like they want to build anything. They're just we're scrapping the season and we're putting everything into next season. Like that's a gamble as well. Like we have many teams doing that, and at least they have got something this year. Like Williams, like they have a very good car this year, and they're already fully focused on next year. I have more belief in Williams managing next year's regulations better than Aston Martin.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
So I'm going to quickly jump over to the tragic team. I'm going to give that to Aston Martin.
All right. See.
Yeah.
I would like to give an extra shout out to another team though. I think Red Bull, for the unsafe release, deserve a shout.
To be fair, that was awful, but they still got a pole position on the track they shouldn't have probably.
Yes. No, I agree. I just wanted to maybe mention that because it was bad.
I mean, if they wouldn't have Max, like that team would be a complete catastrophe this season. Max is the only thing that team keeping it together, and they're very lucky that Max is still there with so many opportunities from elsewhere being handed it over to him with like really big digits numbers of salary and so on. It's gonna be difficult for them to keep Max basically. Like
definitely.
If they screw up next season, I don't see him being there 27 onwards.
It's going to push rumors even further than they already are being pushed.
Yeah. He's also now like 6 points only ahead of Russell, and I believe that 4th place and below is the activation of his exit clause. So technically could be out even sooner than 26, but we'll see.
Yeah, we shall.
Right. Back to the perfect team. Mercedes, they didn't do much wrong. They're very quick. Yeah, I don't think there's a team that would deserve it more than Williams, to be honest. Like that.
No, I agree.
Like even if Mercedes was okay, had an alright weekend, Williams had a very impressive weekend, which is I think just outweighs the any good that Mercedes have done. Like Williams was rapid, that car and the drivers as well. Like if it wasn't for Sainz, I don't know what's up with him, but he seems to try too much in racing. Like that late lunch on the last lap against Hamilton, that had no right of being there itself. Like that was just stupid. Like they were lucky to cross the finish line together both unscathed, because that could have ended up with them both being in the wall, and that would be very embarrassing. But it's just not great from Sainz. He has the pace, but he needs to deliver just like Albon did this weekend. He actually needs to convert those good qualifying results to points, which he hasn't done that much.
Definitely. I think that's what so impressive about Albon.
Yeah, definitely Albon being very good as a part of it. Mm-hmm. But I still believe that Sainz is on paper the better driver. It's just as it's slowly translating into it, but it's definitely far from it so far. In qualifying, Sainz is picking up the pace, but race management, it's still not there. We'll see how the season continues. It's only been 6 races so far. Believe that we could technically do a quarter season review or ranking of the drivers, perhaps. At least with that every third last season. Maybe we could do a first 6 races, so it would be like smaller of a sample size by a little bit. So it would be better to actually rank the drivers. We'll talk about it. Okay, perfect team there. No points. Neither. Okay. Qualifying. P5, George Russell, no points. P4 was Oscar Piastri, no points. P3, Antonelli, no points. P2 was Lando, so a good point. And P1 was Max Verstappen. Yeah, that Red Bull over 1 lap in qualifying, it's rapid. It's absolutely up there with Mercedes and McLaren, but in race pace, doesn't seem to be on their level. Especially McLaren. McLaren this weekend, they haven't got a single pole position, but they finished 1-2 in both races. It's unbelievable how much pace they have compared to the rivals, and it's looking very ominous. Like the gap that they've built over the race, it's it's kind of scary. Like it's really near that domination that we've seen not that long ago. But now it's with 2 drivers instead of 1, so perhaps we could actually see them fighting. Yeah, so far we only seen them fighting with 1 driver from another team. Like, I'm gonna quickly mention that fight, or maybe not quickly. We can talk about it a little bit more. That fight at the start between Max and the McLaren drivers, I think they showed that.
Yeah,
Yep.
You go ahead. You go ahead. Sorry.
To get my first thought out, that I think that showcased a lot about the difference between the McLaren drivers right now, like how they handle racing in general, not just Max, but general. I think Piastri just showed us why he's the favorite for the title right now, and not Lando. Not that he like overtook Max in the first occasion. He was pretty much doing always doing the same. He was studying Max, how he defends, where to place his car, and where he had him close enough, he just went for it. Forced Max into the mistake. He locked up, and Piastri got through. I mean, that's what Lando was supposed to do last season a lot of the time, but it didn't quite happen. And when it was Lando's turn, it was like a carbon copy of that, but instead Lando was trying to do some very ambitious moves that will never work on Max Verstappen, and I think he should have.
See, I was gonna talk about that during our thing. I do think it really did show why Piastri is now favourite, as you said. You know, he made Max look like a joke. Really.
Not much of a joke, but I still.
No. Of course, Max did. Max gave. You know, I think honestly, it gives all of their racing styles sort of in stark contrast to each other. You know, Piastri took some time to get around him, but when he did, you know, he did him in. You know, no driver wants to lock up and then get, you know, moved up the inside of. Whereas Lando just couldn't find a way around him, and Max was all this time just continually being aggressive, which did end up ruining his race, really, when it got down to it. You know, he could have been further away from Russell than he was, and because Russell managed to grab the safety car, of course, Russell is getting lucky in that, but you know, if Max wasn't fighting as hard against those two drivers, then he wouldn't have had to have that moment happen to him.
There's also everyone knows the best after the race already happened. Like we have the benefit of hindsight. We basically know that safety car happened. At the time, yeah, he did the best he could at the time. Like, there was the looming threat of a rain coming, and if we was able to stay within the range of a McLaren or two, he could have profited from that. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, didn't work out. Cost him the podium, but I don't think he shouldn't have fought for the position. I think he did what every driver should have done at his position, fight for the position as much as he could, and yeah, it's very difficult to overtake Max. Took Piastri some laps. Lando, it basically took Lando Max not actually defending in order for Lando to overtake. So yeah, that says everything that needs to be said probably. Yeah, at that point, Max just had no reason to fight anymore. Like Lando was already alongside him even before the braking zone. It was yeah, he maybe could have fought even more, but probably would ended no better result for him. Like you said, the fighting itself cost him time and cost Lando time as well. Like he was like when he got past Max, it was like almost 10 seconds behind Piastri. Yeah, the gap came to like 4 seconds in the end. Maybe Piastri was managing his tires. It's very likely, but if it wasn't the case, and Lando was genuinely quicker than Oscar, maybe he could have actually fought him for the win. But the thing that he lost so much time behind Max cost him the chance to fight for the race win. He started from P2. He started 2 positions above his teammate. Finished P2 where he started, but his teammate come from P4 to win the race. It's not looking good for Lando. It's not. I don't know whether to think that the Imola or Spain upgrades are going to do anything to the specking order. Maybe they're going to help a little, but I don't think McLaren is going to be challenged after these upgrades.
It's what I think I've already said before. I think it's going to be closer when it comes to like Britain.
Yeah. All right.
At the moment, I don't think so.
Okay. Mentioned the Williamses. We mentioned Ferraris. We mentioned Mercedes, McLaren's, Max. I think Yuki had a very quiet race. He also had a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Ended up finishing like just above 1/10 of a second ahead of Hajar in the end. A point finish for Yuki, but he was nowhere near Max the entire weekend. I'm still willing to give Yuki time to adapt. Like this track is very difficult when you're not comfortable in the car, but it looks like it's gonna continue. At least now, that's gonna be the same thing for the rest of the season. And I don't know what Red Bull does come end of 2025 if Max decides to leave. Like who do they put in the car? Do they remain with Yuki, who's been over half a second behind Max throughout the entire season, and bring some random another driver? Honestly, like if Max goes to, for example, Mercedes, I think they would have to try anything to get George Russell for that team. And alternatively, with Aston, I think they would have to get Alonso pretty much, or else they just might end up with no good driver and a car that's being so difficult to drive that it may just not work for any driver other than Max right now. And Red Bull are in a very difficult position right now. If their upgrades in not sure if it's Imola or Spain, but their upgrades that are coming in within the next 2 to 3 weekends, if they don't make Max competitive in the race itself, like in qualifying, that car is quick. It's a very similar car to the Ferrari of 2023, where that car in qualifying trim was up there with the Red Bull, but the races just fell off completely, like over half a minute every time. it's a very similar situation, and Max, I don't think he can do much more with that car. He's already like over, I think, 29 points, and Piastri's one. I think it's like 20-point gap, maybe even more between Piastri and Max. With the way
already.
Yeah, with the way Piastri's driving, if Max doesn't get a better car within the next triple header, he could even leave at the end of this year. I really think that can happen, and we'll see.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I also was expecting Bortoleto to do much better than he's doing right now. He has a qualified Hulkenberg in the main qualifying, but the car is not giving him enough to show himself. And my entire prediction of Red Bull going for George and Lando with Bortoleto coming to McLaren is not looking that likely.
No.
Well, we'll see. Obviously. When it comes to the race, P5 in the end was Alex Albon, no points. P4 was P4. Max, no points. P3 George, so we get a point for George Russell with the podium, and no points for P2 or P1 because those are swapped. So if my calculations are correct, you have taken over the championship by 1 point. And
think how far back I was.
Yeah, the actual prediction didn't happen, as far as I'm aware. You would have talked about it, I'm pretty sure, if I mentioned it. So, and Duan didn't finish behind.
It did not happen.
So yeah, 17, 16 for you.
But don't worry, everyone. I'll still be trying that extra bold prediction later on in the season.
Oh, sure it will. Okay. Okay. That's been a pretty interesting race weekend. I think we missed some things as well. But
yeah, there was just so much to be fair.
There's so much, and honestly, there's so much information that I don't think I've gathered enough info to talk about drivers like Hajar or Hulkenberg or so on. So because I just watched all the other things and couldn't really get much information on them. Yeah, I think those are my final thoughts. So what about you?
Yeah, it was a good race. Glad to have watched it. And I hope that we see more like this. I guess I don't know. The everything's hotting up, shall we say, in Miami? Get it? Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. I tried to laugh, but. All right, I guess we can wrap it up then. Thank you everyone who's been watching us, listening to us. We'll be very happy with a comment, with a like, and a subscribe to keep us going. Obviously, we'll keep going anyway because we have a lot of fun. But your support will be much appreciated anyway, and will be very motivating. So thank you to all the comments, on the likes, on the subscribes, and everything. So thank you again, and we'll see you next week for the prediction for finishings for the, I think it's the Emilia Romagna del Ferrari, whatever, Grand Prix. We'll see you next week. See ya. Peace.
Bye. Peace.